Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at Deep Sea Adventure, which is a very small 2 to 6 player game by Oink Games. It's a push your luck style game that takes 20 to 30 minutes to play and accommodates 2 to 6 people. So the idea is that we are supposed to be these divers, and we are going to be pushing our luck, trying to go further and further down this trail, going deeper and deeper, trying to get to the real juicy points at the bottom, because on the reverse side of these tiles is a number of points, and naturally the 4 tiles that are right at the bottom offer more points than the 3s, the 3s than the 2s, and the 2s offer more points than the 1s. However, we want to be very careful not to be too ambitious that we aren't going to be able to make it all the way back to the submarine, because if we don't, by running out of oxygen, then we're going to leave with nothing. So is it all about pushing your luck, trying to get as many points as you can, and being wary that you don't run out of oxygen. But there's some pretty nifty twists in this game, because the oxygen is shared amongst all the players, so other people can have quite a strong impact on what you do. So a turn is going to consist of rolling this pair of D3s, and you are going to move down the track the number of spaces you've rolled. So for example, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land here. If another opponent went after me and they ended up rolling 4, they go 1, 2, 3 and jump over me for the 4. So you can use other people to boost you along a bit quicker than you would if they weren't there. And then you are going to either choose to pick up one of the tiles that you've landed on or not. You can choose to leave them. If you pick them up, you are going to just put that in your kind of player area, and you're going to replace the spot with one of these tiles that just represent a neutral spot, really. And then it's going to continue onto the next player, where you can either choose to keep going, or you can choose to flip around and go back to the submarine. But once you go back, you can no longer pick up anything. But you'd probably be thinking, why aren't I going to pick up something every time? And that's because whenever you pick up something, from then on, you are going to be depleting oxygen from the supply for each tile you have. So say, for example, at the moment I only have 1 tile. At the start of my turn, I'm going to be reducing the oxygen tile by 1. But again, if I had 2, I'd be going 2 per turn, etc. So the more items that people have, the quicker that oxygen is going to deplete. But on top of all that, whenever you pick up an item, your dice roll is going to be reduced by the number of tiles you have. So, again, as you can see here, I've only got 1 tile. I'll be reducing 1 from this dice roll, so I'd only get to move 4 instead of the 5. And as you're going to be getting more treasure, you can probably imagine when you have to turn back on yourself, you're going to be moving a lot slower. That oxygen's going to be ticking down, and it's going to be a real tense struggle to get back there. You could be falling behind, people could be picking up things behind you, and you're all the way down here, and it's going to be very hard for you to get back in time. So that's going to be how the game's going to play out, really. There are a few different little twists as well. For example, if you choose to make your way back and you can land on one of these spots, you can always choose to swap one of these, like so that you kind of deposit your treasure back to stop you being slowed down so much. So that's going to be how Deep Sea Adventure plays out. A very simple game, but one with a bit of charm to it. I do like push your luck games in general, and I think this one does a good job of doing something a little bit different with the push your luck genre. Of course, you want to go further and further down to get the real juicy points, but at the same time, I love this shared oxygen supply, and you can really shaft other people by doing it. You can also do a bit of bluffing as well, because you might say, "Come on, guys, let's go all the way down together, and we'll get right to the juicy stuff at the bottom." But then someone's starting to fall behind and think, I'm not going to keep up, so they start picking up all the treasure and then turning back on themselves. And by that, you're already down here, and you've got next to nothing. So you've got next to no chance of going all the way back up before the oxygen supply runs out. So there's a real neat little twist here that I do like. I also like just the little simple things that when you roll a die and you're behind someone else and you jump over them, that can really throw a spanner in the works as well. So yeah, in terms of the little decisions, I think it's a compelling little game. Obviously, it's not rocket science, but it has a certain degree of charm, and the decisions are they do put you on the spot a bit. Do you want to do one more dive and hope you don't roll too high, or do you want to, do you want that really high roll to get down to the juicy stuff and trust that you can get back in time? So yeah, I do like the push your luck mechanism and how it shines through. I think it works well. The time investment, the game takes, the box says 30 minutes. I would say that's probably at the full array of the 6 players. At a 3-player game, you can probably get it done in more, 15, 20 minutes. And I do think it scales quite well. I would probably say it peaks better at that higher player count, at least 3 players really. I wouldn't say I'd play this at 2, but it's certainly not going to be a bad game at 2. But I think to get the full experience of Deep Sea Adventure, you want to be playing at that higher player counts where everybody's jumping over each other and things, and more people are going to be drowning, etc. But there's also another quite cool twist that when you do drown, when you have loot on you, that loot goes to the bottom of the stack here, and they actually stack up. So that means that you can get loads of treasure by just one grab, and that's another cool little wrinkle to the game, which can incentivize you to go right to the bottom of the ocean. The replayability, yeah, it's kind of a one-trick pony really, but because it's so accessible, it's so simple. It's fundamentally just a bit of push your luck and some roll and move. I think because that barrier to entry is so low that I think it's going to get to the table quite easily just through that respect really. The interaction, as I said again, the shared air supply is fantastic. The kind of goading each other to go deeper and deeper is really fun. I think it can be quite player dependent. If you have the right group for it, you can get a lot of fun and laugh out loud moments with this game, because it is so simple, but it does have those, or has room for some cool player interaction that is player led. The way the game looks, the aesthetics and components, I think is really nice. The little divers look really cool. These little meeples. The components are all good quality. I love the fact that it all fits into this tiny little Oink box. Takes up next to no shelf space whatsoever. I think that's great, and I think Oink Games do a great job of putting games in these tiny little boxes to reduce the amount of space they're going to take. Theme, the theme itself works really well as well. The idea of diving deeper and deeper, trying to not run out of oxygen, works well. So I do like that. I think it's a nice mesh. Setup and teardown time is next to nothing. You just lay these tiles out. Of course, you've got the variability of, all these tiles have different points on the back, so you're not going to get an exact idea of what you're picking up until you get back to the submarine, because you're not actually allowed to look. But I do quite like that. The progression of the game, it's kind of a lot with push your luck games. If somebody is starting to run away with it by getting all their treasure back and you've been bust every time, then that incentive of going deeper and deeper and going kind of all or nothing does start to shine through. So I do like that. That works well. So that kind of that progression and the incentive to be more daring does start to develop. Scalability, as I said, higher player count is going to be a preference for me in this one. And comparison-wise, there are a lot of push your luck style games. I've actually recently done a top 10, but this one does a few little things differently. Such as the shared supply, such as the idea of the loot slowing you down to move. I do like that. I love how easy it is to explain. So yeah, I think it's got a nice little niche. Not too much different to the other ones, but it just does enough to differentiate itself. And the fact that it comes in one of these little boxes is great. So yeah, overall, I really had a lot of fun with Deep Sea Adventure. It's certainly a game that you can play with absolutely anybody. Love how compact it is. Super easy to get to the table. Really addictive. Just a simple roll and move mechanism. But those little tweaks just make the game engaging and a lot of fun. So I would recommend this one. It probably would have squeaked onto my top 10 push your luck games. And yeah, it's certainly a charming and fun little game that I'll be getting to the table a lot more in the future because of how accessible it is. So yeah, go check out Deep Sea Adventure if this one appeals to you. If you do like your push your luck games, this one is certainly a strong one. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.